The Mother, force in action.
A friend, and yet too great wholly to know. She walked in their front towards a greater light, their leader and queen over their hearts and souls, one close to their bosoms, yet divine and far.
The first meeting with Sri Aurobindo. Mira Alfassa, also known as the Mother, was the spiritual collaborator of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, writing in the third person, said, "The Mother is not a disciple of Sri Aurobindo. She has had the same realization and experience as myself." What is known as Sri Aurobindo's yoga is the joint creation of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. There is no difference between the Mother's path and mine. We have and have always had the same path, the path that leads to the supramental change and the divine realization, not only at the end, but from the beginning they have been the same. It was March 29th, 1914, at the age of 36, when the Mother first visited Pondicherry, India. While approaching Pondicherry, Mira had a vision of a huge column of light, and the intensity of the light became greater when she arrived in the city. As soon as she saw Sri Aurobindo, she recognized in him the well-known being whom she used to call Krishna. After meeting Sri Aurobindo, she wrote in her diary, "It matters little that there are thousands of beings plunged in the densest ignorance. He whom we saw yesterday is on earth. His presence is enough to prove that a day will come when darkness shall be transformed into light, and thy reign shall indeed be established." Due to circumstances created by the war, the Mother left Pondicherry on the 22nd of February 1915 for Paris, from where she went to Japan for 4 years and had a series of experiences that enabled her return to India. She finally came back to Pondicherry in April 1920. Final arrival of the Mother, 24th April 1920. The Mother met Sri Aurobindo on the 24th of April 1920. About this meeting, the Mother noted that it was the tangible sign of the sure victory over the adverse forces. 24th April marked a definitive change in the rhythm and scope of the future development of the yoga and the new creation. Synchronistically, history tells us that the 24th of April was the day when Queen Hatshepsut had assumed powers in Egypt, leading to revolutionary changes. It was also the date when the Greeks entered Troy, leading to its downfall. Whether there is any connection with these events and the synchronistic date of the Mother's final coming is left to your imagination. The year 2020 marks the centenary of the Mother's final arrival. Its occult spiritual significance, both for the future work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and for the occult protection over India, cannot be overstated. The pandemic virus outbreak across the world and the high casualties in the world's most affluent nations is in stark contrast to India. Building up of the Ashram and Sadhana. Prior to the Mother's final arrival in 1920, there was no ashram, and the few sadhaks who came to live near Sri Aurobindo and practice yoga acted very much on the principle of laissez-faire, each going their own way. There was no outer organization of work. Sri Aurobindo wrote, "It was only some time after the Mother came from Japan that it took the form of the ashram, more from the wish of the sadhaks who desired to entrust their whole inner and outer life to the Mother than from any intention or plan of hers or of Sri Aurobindo." On 27th July 1934, Sri Aurobindo, in reply to a letter, stated, "Before the Mother came, all were living in the mind, with only some mental realizations and experiences. The vital and everything else were unregenerated, and the psychic behind the veil." In the years between 1926 and 1931, the Mother looked into every detail of the ashram life and the spiritual progress of the sadhaks. The number of sadhaks increased from 25 to 150 and continued to grow. Nearly all newcomers were assigned some work in one of the services that were developing, such as the building service, the hotelier, the garden service, the bakery, the dining room, etc. Under the Mother's guidance, the ashram's activities expanded in every direction. She was a wonderful organizer. As more departments were added, such as physical education, art house, music, perfumery, needlework, metalworks, publication, press, she selected one person from the ashram to head each department. Each day the department head would send her a detailed report of each and every matter, and she would comment and guide each one of them. Her meticulous detailing was seen, for example, from arranging the menu for the dining room to writing out the recipe for the world-famous ashram bread. The Mother stated, "The ashram has been founded and is meant to be the cradle of the new world. According to the Mother, to do the work that one does with all sincerity, as perfectly as one can, is certainly one of the best ways to serve the divine." The Mother's guidance through flowers. Simplicity and beauty were Mother's signature trait in everything she did. She used flowers as an aid for inner progress for the sadhaks. She believed that flowers bring us in touch with eternal things and would help us transform our nature. Flowers best express the psychic aspiration in us. She gave specific spiritual names to about 800 types of flowers according to their spiritual quality, messages, and symbolic significance. She would present them to disciples when she met them, and the particular flower she gave conveyed her blessings, grace, and guidance. The Mother's work in education. Georges van Rickham writes, in the early 1940s, a number of families were admitted to the ashram, and instruction was initiated for the children. On 2nd December 1943, the Mother formally opened a school for about 20 children. She herself was one of the teachers. The number of pupils gradually increased during the next 7 years. The Mother's philosophy of education was path-breaking. She said, "We are not here to do only a little better what the others do. We are here to do what the others cannot do, because they do not have the idea that it can be done. We are here to open the way of the future to children who belong to the future. Anything else is not worth the trouble and not worthy of Sri Aurobindo's help." For her, the aim of education is not to prepare a man to succeed in life and society, but to increase his perfectibility to its utmost. At Auroville, the international township founded by the Mother, education started with a paradox. When the first school of Auroville was named Last School by the Mother, the other names given by her were not less destabilizing. Written in a sequence, they present themselves as Last School, After School, Super School, No School. Creatively thought-provoking, these names suggest that the education schools aim at will be found in an exceeding of the present school formula. Sri Aurobindo considered all life as yoga. The crucial role of education in this endeavor is highlighted by the Mother's words. "I would like them, the government, to recognize yoga as education, not so much for ourselves, but it will be good for the country. Matter will be transformed, that will be a solid base. Life will be divinized. Let India take the lead." The Mother, musician and artist. Music, art, drama, architecture were all a means for increasing the perfectibility of the human instrument and to foster a complete human being. The Mother composed and played original music, wrote several plays, and herself directed them. Each year, she played the organ for the New Year meditation, spontaneously, without any prior preparation or rehearsal. Later, as the responsibilities of the mother grew, she hardly got 3 hours of sleep each night. She began to inspire and guide Sunilda to compose the New Year music. Simultaneously, she also guided him to create an ethereal music based on passages she read out from Sri Aurobindo's magnus opus Savitri. New Year music and Savitri music constitute what can be called the music of the future. Similarly, from childhood the mother had been painting and drawing. She did many pencil sketches of inmates of the ashram as well as some oil paintings, and encouraged those who had artistic abilities to cultivate them as part of their integral development. Some wonderful painters and artists flowered under the mother's guidance. The mother said on July 28, 1929, "The discipline of art has at its center the same principle as the discipline of yoga. In both, the aim is to become more and more conscious. In both, you have to learn to see and feel something that is beyond the ordinary vision and feeling, to go within and bring out from there deeper things. Painters have to follow a discipline for the growth of consciousness of their eyes, which is itself almost a yoga." In architecture too, the mother was far ahead of her times. She conceived of Golkund, which is a remarkable architectural edifice, and till today is studied and admired by all the leading architects of the world. The mother worked out her idea through the architects Antonin Raymond, Frank Summers, and George Nakashima. Built during the war years, economy, uncompromising quality, and environmental sustainability were the foundation of its design. Completed in 1942, Golkund was the first reinforced, cast-in-place concrete building in India. In Mother's words, Golkund is the modern equivalent of the caves for the integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo. Matri Mandir, considered today as one of the wonders of the world, was conceived and sketched out by the mother and given to Roger Anger and his team to execute in January 1970. She explained in detail the design, the layout, the purpose, and the use of the inner chamber, as she saw it in a vision at the beginning of 1970. Force in matter, the importance of physical education. Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's yoga is integral and life-affirming. Its aim is the divinizing of matter and the transformation of the body to create a life divine on earth. The work on building a strong, resilient, disease-free and receptive body was one of the most important works that Mother put her force behind. Unlike the old yogas, where moksha and nirvana were the supreme aim, and the physical body had to be discarded upon realization. Here was a revolutionary yoga of purification and transformation of the mind, of the emotional and vital being, of the physical and body, around the leadership of the psychic. How can one prepare for this? The Mother organized an incredible physical education system. She believed the body has no limits to its growth and capacities and can be educated to progress indefinitely. As far back as the early 1940s, to achieve this aim, the Mother organized facilities of the physical education department, which included a library, gymnasium, playground, sports ground, swimming pool, judo hall, and tennis courts. Children and sadhaks, ranging from the ages of 4 to 100 years, could be seen doing various exercises or march past at the playground. She made no distinction between boys and girls, and in the early 1930s was the first to introduce the wearing of shorts and kitty caps for the girls. Meticulous ashram records were kept, with full medical history, measurements, and timings of competitions for each person individually. The Mother's creation, Auroville. The Mother had a dream of an international township where men and women of all countries could live in peace above all creeds, all politics, and all nationalities. On February 28, 1968, she founded Auroville. In a message for UNESCO, she wrote, "The task of giving a concrete form to Sri Aurobindo's vision was entrusted to the Mother. The creation of a new world, a new humanity, a new society, expressing and embodying the new consciousness is the work she has undertaken." The revolutionary concept of Auroville becomes clear from the Mother's words. Auroville has been created for a superhumanity, for those who want to surmount their ego and renounce all desire, to prepare themselves for receiving the supermind. They alone are true Aurovillians. Those who want to obey their ego and satisfy all their desires belong to a sub-humanity and have no place here. They must return to the world which is their true place. The Mother, India's destiny, and the world. The Mother said, "From the first time I came to India in 1914, I felt that India is my true country, the country of my soul and spirit." Dr. Rajendra Prasad, President of India, visited the ashram on the 15th of November 1955 and met the Mother, who gave him the following message: "India must rise to the height of her mission and proclaim the truth to the world." The Mother continued to take an active interest in the growth of India. Indira Gandhi first met the mother in 1955 along with her father, Pandit Nehru, then Prime Minister of India. She visited a second time in 1969. The mother sent the following messages to Mrs. Gandhi. Since long it was the habit to govern through division and opposition, the time has come to govern through union, mutual understanding, and collaboration. To choose a collaborator, the value of the man is more important than the party to which he belongs. On October 6, 1969, she wrote to Mrs. Gandhi again. The greatness of a country does not depend on the victory of a party, but on the union of all the parties. Not only India, the mother had the whole world in her consciousness and followed world affairs. In 1942, during World War II, at the height of Hitler's aggression, Sri Aurobindo wrote to a disciple, "I affirm to you most strongly that this is the mother's war. You should not think of it as a fight for certain nations against others, or even for India. It is a struggle for an ideal that has to establish itself on earth, in the life of humanity, for a truth that has yet to realize itself fully, and against a darkness and falsehood that are trying to overwhelm the earth and mankind in the immediate future." In a speech in the House of Commons on the 13th of October 1942, Winston Churchill said, "I sometimes have a feeling, in fact, I have it very strongly, a feeling of interference. I want to stress that. I have a feeling sometimes that some guiding hand has interfered. I have the feeling that we have a guardian because we have a great cause, and that we shall have that guardian as long as we serve that cause faithfully. And what a cause it is." The mother's action continues. The new creation. After Sri Aurobindo's departure, the mother immediately took up the work of the integral yoga from the point which Sri Aurobindo had reached. This immediate continuation was made possible by the transfer of the mind of light into her cells. She applied to this sadhana of physical transformation all her power and concentration, although what she was doing remained practically unnoticed by the people around her. It is no exaggeration to say, in view of the toughness of the task, that she advanced with lightning speed. A momentous event in Earth's history took place on the 29th of February 1956. Mother later called this the Golden Day. In the evening, she said, during the meditation at the playground, the supramental consciousness manifested upon earth. The supramental consciousness, the main goal of the work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, had come into the earth atmosphere in 1956. The supramental is by definition a unity consciousness. It was one of the most important events that the Mother had been working towards, as it opened up the possibility of physical transformation of the human body. In the words of the Mother, it is the psychic being that will materialize and become the supramental being. The psychic being materializes, and this gives a continuity to the evolution. It is the psychic being, the representative of the divine in man, that will remain and will cross over into the new species. Advances in medical research point to the possibility of prolonging lifespan and corroborate many of the experiences of the Mother on cellular consciousness. For example, the research undertaken by Professor David Sinclair, Professor of Genetics, Harvard Medical School, where he says, "We're developing the technologies to not just delay these diseases of aging, but actually reverse aspects of them." The World Health Organization in 2018, in their International Disease Code Book, declared aging as a treatable disease. From the year 1962 onwards, the Mother withdrew to the room upstairs. Although the Mother's outer activities were reduced, her new life was still more busy than the life downstairs. It was life dedicated to the sadhana of the body. To bring about this transformation, first in herself, the Mother was working on her physical consciousness and the cells of the body. In a conversation on 30th March 1972, she said, "For 58 years I have been working for the body to be as transparent and as immaterial as possible. In other words, not to be an obstruction to the force that is coming down." On 17th November 1973, the Mother transited into her new body, made of subtle matter, consisting of the supramental substance. Her work and action continues. Through her many children and centers, with the certitude of the new creation. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind is the only lamp, as a thief's in the night shall be the covert tread of one who steps unseen into his house. A voice ill-heard shall speak, the soul obey, a power into mind's inner chamber steal, a charm and sweetness open life's closed doors, and beauty conquer the resisting world. The truth light capture nature by surprise, a stealth of God compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine. In matter shall be lit the Spirit's glow. In body and body kindled the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy pilgrim march. Our will a force of the Eternal's power, and thought the rays of a spiritual sun. A few shall see what none yet understands. God shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep. For man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done.
तत्सवितुर्भरमरूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत् ॐ तत्सवितुर्भरमरूपं ज्योतिः परस्य धीमहि यन्नः सत्येन दीपयेत्
Satyamai Parame